Yes, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube channel. Both of us dressed in black coincidentally today. That was not planned, but here we are. That's at Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Happy to be with you here as the last episode of November. This year is flying. Thanksgiving's Thursday. I can't believe I'm going to be putting up Christmas decorations soon.
Yeah, and we're all dressed in black because we are hypothetically attending funerals for our favorite football teams.
That was a hell of a way to spin that and a hell of a tease, so we'll leave it at that. Good job. So there we go. And because Thanksgiving is a very football holiday, and they're trying to take over all the holidays, they're trying to take over Christmas, they're trying to take over everything. But yeah, we're going to just do all football packs today. We did the Op-N-Sode, which was a little outside the box last week, although it was very well received by the man himself. So today, back to all football. We'll talk about all things week 12. You know, we'll look ahead to Thanksgiving week. It's all football today. Even the starting lineup, figure 5 is football.
There we go. If you love football, you will love this episode of Rip N Riff.
American football. We don't want to confuse the international viewing on it today. It's American football. We did a little bit of the international football last week, so go back to that episode and watch there. Nonetheless, I think we need to get down to brass tacks here. Why don't we just get to the pack ripping lineup? Because I both know we're anxious to get to our respective Rip and Rants today. And here we go. I'm going with the pack of 2024 score. Jared did a pack of those a couple of weeks ago. I had coincidentally bought a pack, so wanted to wait a few weeks, but I'm anxious to open those up. You see the rookies there, Jayden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, who had some stuff to say yesterday that I'm sure Jared will bring up in his Rip and Rant. Bo Nix. And then, yeah, we'll go starting in 2024. But then, Jared, you take it back 2 years to some 2022 Panini Mosaic.
Yeah, Panini Mosaics. Got a nice fresh box here. So we'll do a few packs out of that one, and we'll see what we get. We see some of the rookies there on the screen, along with a 1990 Fleer Premier Edition football player photo card pack. And you look at some of the rookies there. It's like, oh, boy, I would love to get me a Rich Gannon rookie card there. Especially now that both of us are indirectly working with Richie Gannon once again. So I would very much like to get my hands on one of those.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty appropriate to get a Jim Harbaugh rookie on the day of the Harbaugh Bowl. You got Chargers, Ravens tonight.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll take one of those for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's all, like we said, it's all football, but I don't want to waste any time because this is probably going to be something we both need to spend some time here. So let's just dive right into our favorite segment, Rip and Rant. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. All right, so I know I've said that I wasn't going to talk about the Jets anymore this season. I got to do one more time until they make news again. So I'm going to do that today. Jared, I don't know if you want to kick or receive, but it's basically a New York football funeral here on Rip and Rant.
I'm curious what you actually have to say about the Jets, considering they were on the bye this week. So I will kick. I will let you go first, my friend.
All right. I mean, if I'm playing Madden, I like to kick, but I'll receive here because, and like I said, as of like 40 minutes ago, I had a whole other thing planned for Rip and Rant. I still want to get your take on the role of being a garbage disposal in terms of eating food that no one else is eating, in terms of being like in a family and a marriage. I want to get that. We'll table that for another day. But today we're going to talk. Obviously, yesterday things did not go great for the Giants and Tommy DeVito. Jared will have more on that. Yes, the Jets were on a bye, but things still came out about the team during the bye. It's week 12, and our starting quarterback is already talking about how I want to play next year, but not for this team. Like, oh, good. There's still 5 weeks left in the season. Thanks, appreciate that. And I understand the sentiment. I don't disagree. I'd feel the same way, but it's just like this is typical Jets, and it's just. And then you're finding out that Woody Johnson, which we all knew was a terrible owner, was maybe meddling more than like he should have. I mean, let's just go back. Like this is typical Jets, and the whole vibe's been off all season ever since like Rodgers and Wilson had their little dust up in training camp, and then the whole Hassan Reddick deal. And yes, we've revisited this a million times. How like everything went off the rails on that Monday Night Football Aaron Rodgers injury last year, right? Because going into that season, Jets fans actually had positivity about what was going to happen. And even other fans. If you ever want Tom Kress asking 3 minutes of your time to come on with Zig Fracassi on NFL radio. Just quote Will Ferrell from Step Brothers. Keep your liver spotted off of the football operation. Stop.
All right. I have some good news and I have some bad news. Would you like to hear the good news or the bad news first?
Bad.
The bad news is your audio cut out for a lot of that rant, so I didn't actually get to hear a lot of what you said. The good news is I heard Tom Kress and liver spotted somewhere in the middle of that rant, and that just put a smile on my face. So, look, you kind of told me before the show what you were looking to say about this whole situation, and yeah, it's a complete debacle. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is somehow going to escape this, scot-free in the sense that like he's not going to. Like his legacy will be intact and all that sort of stuff. But obviously this is a major stain. And yeah, you would like to see Aaron kind of go scorched earth on the way out and expose the Jets for being as inept as we think the Jets are, which I mean, we're not exactly breaking down the atom here, saying that the Jets are an inept operation, but yeah, the entire thing is a mess. The fact that the Jets are in the headlines in the middle of a bye week is as classic Jets as you get. I mean, that's, and I'm sure a lot of it's Rodgers too, because Rodgers, is he's an attention whore and he likes having his name out there. And I think there's a very public tug of war between Rodgers and the Jets saying, no, actually, I do want to play next year. Oh, well, I don't want to play for you anyways. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there because, like, Rodgers wants to play, but I'm sure the Jets have had enough of this Rodgers experiment. And Rodgers is like, well, I didn't want to play for you anyways. I want to go somewhere else. So the entire thing's a debacle.
Listen, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing's a whole other thing. But if you're going to and you don't have a high opinion amongst Jets fans right now, and yes, there are reasons, both to blame you and to blame other reasons why the last 2 years have not gone well. And that's another thing. You want to talk about cheap owners. The MetLife field surface, which is like the one thing every player agrees on the league is one of the universally worst playing surfaces, cause so many injuries, and they do nothing about it. That drives me up a wall too, because if you've not been so cheap and had gotten a better surface, maybe Rodgers doesn't tear his Achilles 4 plays into the season, and maybe last year they get to the playoffs and go on a little bit of a run or something like that. But no, that's where it all stems back to. But Rodgers, just do Jets fans a favor. Burn it down on the way out. Confirm everything we already know about how insanely functional this franchise is. I mean, Joe Douglas loses his job, and let's face it, yes, he's got money saved up. He's not worrying about getting his next job. If he wants to be a GM next year, he'll get his interviews, and if he doesn't land anywhere, Eric DeCosta down in Baltimore is going to be like, hey, we always got a seat for you here in an advisory role or something. Don't worry about it. This guy lost his job, and his first thought was, man, I'm relieved. I'm going to go fishing, and I'm going to feel like, because he didn't have that Woody Johnson meddling into what he's doing. Like, it's just, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, like I'm sure any NFL GM is a stressful job. So I'm sure anytime somebody loses their job, yeah, you don't want to lose your job, but there is that brief period of, oh, all right, I can, take a walk this morning. I can read the paper, whatever you want to do, but you don't verbalize it. You don't go out and tell people, be like, yeah, I'm happy to lose my job, man. I feel good again. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good feeling. You lost your job as an NFL GM. And that is what happens when players, coaches, front office people leave the Jets. There's they sigh of relief.
Right. We've all been in a bad relationship to some extent, either like a bad, romantic relationship or like a bad employment relationship where once it's over, you're just like, oh, thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Thank God that's over. I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. And yeah, I'm sure Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas felt a sense of relief that once they got fired, it's like, oh, thank God I don't have to deal with this anymore. I don't have to deal with this asshole quarterback or this clueless owner or this inept fan base or anything like that. Like, I'm so thrilled I don't have to deal with any of this nonsense anymore.
And now that now they're saying Jeff Bezos is interested in the team or Elon Musk had the second bet, I'd take Bezos as an owner. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be some sort of Amazon tie-in to being a Jet fan. I don't know, but and I know Leon Hess wasn't a great owner before Woody Johnson, but he makes Woody Johnson look like, whoever you consider to be the best owner in sports. Like it's just Woody Johnson. Like maybe he snorted some of that cancer-causing talcum powder he sold for many, many years.
Okay.
Or, but like maybe just stick to Q-tips because that's what you're good at. All right. Like enough with the football.
Okay. Before I get into my Rip N Rant, I should have mentioned this before the show, but I do have a Loosey if you want to get that ready.
Okay.
So a nice little tease there for once this Rip N Rant's over with. But I got to talk about the Giants.
Yes.
And look, there were a lot of smart people who said some really dumb things about the Giants years ago. Like, oh, the Giants shouldn't have taken Saquon Barkley second overall. They should take a quarterback instead. Never mind that the next quarterback off the board was Sam Darnold, who's now on his fourth team, but that's neither here nor there. A lot of smart people said a lot of dumb things like, oh, the Giants were right not to pay Saquon Barkley. You don't pay running backs top dollar. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I consider the Eagles and the Ravens to generally be two of the smarter teams out there in the league. The Eagles paid Saquon. The Ravens paid Derrick Henry. How's that working out for both those teams? And conversely, how's that working out for the Giants who didn't pay Saquon? And how's that working out for the Cowboys who didn't pay Derrick Henry?
By the way, Eagles-Ravens this Sunday. Going to be a hell of a matchup.
Oh, thank goodness. I can't wait to watch it after watching the Giants on Thanksgiving Day. Look, let's call the Giants situation what it is. They're tanking at the end of the season because they fucked up on the quarterback. They couldn't have gotten the quarterback situation any worse because they decided to pay a bottom five quarterback $40 million a year. And they cut him before the second year of that deal was up when they realized how badly they screwed it up. It's why after year one of that deal, they were looking at trying to get a quarterback in the draft, whether it was a Jayden Daniels or a Drake May. They knew they screwed it up. And the optics look even worse now because they let their best player walk out the door to a division rival instead of paying him. And, oh, as it turns out, Saquon Barkley, awesome player, generational talent. I mean, the optics of this is so bad. Can you imagine if the Yankees, when Aaron Judge was a free agent 2 years ago, they didn't have enough money left to pay him because they're busy paying DJ LeMahieu's rotting corpse. So he goes and signs with the Boston Red Sox and puts up, 58 home runs in an MVP caliber season. Or perhaps an even more modern day example. Let's say the Yankees decide, oh, we're not going to go there and Juan Soto. They lose him out to the Mets. They lose him out to the crosstown rivals. Yankee fans would be apoplectic, and rightfully so. And that's exactly what's happening right now with Saquon in Philadelphia, who ran for 255 yards yesterday, 300 total yards from scrimmage, touchdowns. He's in the MVP discussion. It's embarrassing, and it's exactly what John Mara didn't want when they broached this topic on Hard Knocks.
He literally said that.
Yeah, he literally said that. He knew. Look, John Mara is a moron. Like, he has done as much as anyone to run the Giants into the ground. Even John Mara knew that Saquon Barkley would crush it in Philadelphia. We all knew this. And Shane and Dable let him go there anyway. So, look, I get that Shane and Dable, they didn't draft Saquon. They didn't draft Daniel Jones. They made their bed when they decided to pay Jones, and they let Saquon walk. Jones became their guy when they decided to pay him. He stunk, and now he's gone. So, I'm sorry. You don't get to whiff that badly on the quarterback. You don't get a pass for letting your best player walk in free agency. And you don't get to be as lifeless. And, the team quit yesterday against Tampa Bay. You don't get to do all that and keep your jobs. That's 3 strikes. You're out. Get done. You're done. Get out.
I want to address the Malik Nabers comments quickly. I got no problem with what he said. You're a top overall pick, or first, top 5 pick. You're supposed to have the offense run through you. I'd be frustrated too, especially the dynamic, everything Jared just said. But can you not be chewing gum during the post-game press conference while you're talking? Because it makes everything you say, you seem like a 10% more of a jackass when you're smacking gum in between. That's all I'm going to say. Like, wait till maybe you had some bad breath and you didn't want to put it out there, so maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know, just like maybe just not chew the gum during the press conference. Like,
this is Dable?
No, this is Neighbors at his locker after the game.
Oh, I didn't realize that. My bad.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors after the game, and the things he said, he's, they asked why he wasn't involved. He's like, I don't know. You got to ask Dabes. He was clearly frustrated, and he's a young kid, and I get it too. Like, you're supposed to be somebody that's supposed to help fix this offense, but if you're not being given a chance, if you're not getting targets, if you're not getting looks, can't really do anything as a receiver. So I get it. sometimes it might rub people the wrong way when a rookie, mouths off like that. But factoring in the whole entire Giants environment and how dysfunctional it is, like I get the frustration, but just maybe we don't chew the gum. That's kind of rude. Maybe put the gum in your mouth afterwards.
I at least give Neighbors a little bit of a pass because he's clearly the best player on the team now. Well, I would say it's like between him on the offense and probably Andrew Thomas when he's healthy and Dexter Lawrence on the defensive side of the ball. Those are the best players on the team, and that's the players the Giants should be building around moving forward. I can't kill Neighbors when Tommy DeVito can't complete a forward pass. Like Tommy DeVito is just not an NFL quarterback. Like the Giants knew what they were doing when they went to Tommy DeVito.
I was looking for a pack of gum so I could put a stick in my mouth in case I had a random one here to do the experiment of like you sound like 10% more of a jackass when you talk, but I don't have the gum, so I'm sorry. But yes, that's the thing. The Giants do have some good players there, but like you can't miss on the quarterback. You can't let a talent like Barkley walk to your rival. Like he probably didn't even have to sell his house if he really didn't want to. I mean, Philly is not that far from the Meadowlands. It's a worst case scenario for the Giants. Absolutely. And yeah, it's time to clean house. The days of the Giants being, I don't want to say a dynasty, but just like a fixture in the playoff conversation and being the team that beat the big bad Patriots twice, those are long gone.
I mean, how about being a relevant football team? Like I'm not even asking for a dynasty. I'm not asking for, can we be a team that makes the playoffs more than once every couple of years? And when we make the playoffs, it's not, clear outlier years where it was a fluke. And like, by the way, nowhere in that rant did I mention also letting Xavier McKinney walk as a free agent.
Oh yeah.
Or whiffing on Evan Neal with the 7th overall pick, or the fact that like Jalen Hyatt, former 3rd round pick, can't see the field, or that the offensive line's still not fixed when it's only been an issue for a decade. I'm sure they'll get around to fixing that eventually. It's not just this regime screwing up the most important position or letting their best player walk. It's also all the other mistakes that they've made along the way.
Listen, you don't have to look far to talk about inept franchises. I mean, I'll put it in perspective for you. Since I started dating my now wife, the Jets have never made the playoffs. Never. So like, and that's all I wanted out of the whole Rodgers experiment was let's break the drought. And let's maybe get a win in the playoffs. I didn't have delusions. Like some people are like, oh, Super Bowl, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know about that. But like they had the pieces in place to, at least do that. Get to the playoffs, maybe steal a victory off a Houston Texan division winning team. You go on the road and steal one or something like that. But yeah, it's and that's the thing too. Both New York franchises being this bad is not good for the NFL. I feel like and I'm not to be like New York centric. I don't even live there anymore, but I mean, there hasn't been many periods where both teams were just terrible. I mean, like recently a little bit, but before that, you'd probably have to go back to like the pre-Lawrence Taylor era. You're muted.
Yeah, I realized that the second I started talking, the thing popped up. The NFL will be fine just because it's such a popular league that they'll be able to get by without the New York teams being good. But like, the Giants have been pretty pathetic for the better part of a decade now. Like eventually, like get your shit together.
To me, it's like when the Raiders were bad for so long. Was the league fine? Of course, the league was fine, but it's a better league when teams like the Raiders are competitive, or when the Steelers are competitive. The Giants, I would put in that class. I won't put. Nobody cares about the Jets, but the Giants, I would put in that mix.
All right, you ready for a quick "I Love Lucy" and then you can get your back.
Start ripping. Yes, good call and a reminder. Here we go.
All right, so you and I sit through a lot of meetings now with our new employer, VSiN, which we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to do that. And one name that came up recently in a meeting with the Tyson Jake Paul fight was Jerry Cooney.
Yes,
our former colleague from SiriusXM. We love Jerry. Jerry's the man. If you've ever met him, like he's genuine salt to the earth. Like he's a great guy. He
makes you feel like you've known him for 10 years within the first 10 seconds of meeting him.
Exactly, and he has as strong a handshake as you would expect from a guy who's was a one-time professional boxer. And I mentioned during this meeting he had one of the more underrated Simpsons cameos when he was the greeter for the Monty Burns Casino. So I decided to poke around on the old eBay for Jerry Cooney Simpsons, and what pops up but nice little autograph photo of Jerry Cooney as the greeter at the Monty Burns Casino talking to Otto.
To be fair, Otto got a good punch in on him. Like, he wasn't expecting that.
So, I mean, for the price I paid for it, I had to pick it up. So I got to take this. I got to text it to Cooney himself, because he'll probably get a kick out of it, because he's talked about that cameo on The Simpsons before, but also probably to our boss Steve Cohen, because he would probably also get a kick out of the fact that I have this now in my collection.
It's a great cameo. It's a great scene. I still laugh when I see it all these years later. That's like it just never gets old. Good old Jerry. Yeah. All
right, let's rip some packs.
Let's rip some packs. That's what we're here to do, right? At 22 minutes in, and let's get going here. First up, we're gonna do my Panini Score Football.
Go for it. While you're doing that, I'm gonna get mine prepped.
There it goes. Let's get the West Coast Rip cam up there. All right. So right out of okay, not too bad. So right out of the pack here, we're going to have a numbered parallel here. We have Chris Godwin out of number 107 out of 630. That's a random number, 630, but nonetheless, nice card there.
Nice card. It's unfortunate that Chris Godwin suffered a season-ending injury the way he did. And, he's been a huge part of that Tampa Bay offense for a long time. So hopefully, I don't know where he's going to wind up next year, but hopefully, he'll land on his feet wherever he winds up.
Shout out to Baker Mayfield for doing the Tommy DeVito end zone celebration. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Yeah, I like the troll job. I know some people got a little antsy about it, and they even asked him at the end of the game. It was like, "Are you Italian by any chance?" He's like, "Well, I haven't done a 23 in me, so I don't know."
And listen, Baker Mayfield's one of the feel-good stories of the NFL. Like, a guy that was basically left for dead as a bust with the Cleveland Browns. You want to talk about another franchise that knows how to ruin things. And then he gets that, the game against when he played with the Rams, basically had a day and a half to prepare for a Thursday game and ends up going out, playing a hell of a game, gets his chance with Tampa Bay, making the most of it. Good for you, man. If they're the one team in the NFC that none of the rest of the NFC wants to see in the playoffs, because they could beat. They're capable of. They're not the best team in the conference, but they're capable of beating anybody on any given Sunday.
They're the only team that's beaten Detroit thus far.
Yep. So that is like, if the rest of the NFC is hoping Tampa does not get in on tiebreakers somehow, if that's what it comes down to, or or if Atlanta wins a division, then it might come down to that. Here's a guy that's going to come up for Hall of Fame debate. We've discussed that a bunch. Mr. Eli Manning. I don't know if this is a good thing after we just talked about seeing some fond memories, or if it's a little rough, but either way, there's Eli.
People are going to get so mad when he's first ballot. I don't know who's going to get the most mad. If I had to take a guess, I would guess Cam Newton, but there would be a lot of people who are going to be really mad when Eli Manning's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Hey, they're wrong, of course, but he will be first ballot.
Hey, Cam, if you actually go away long enough for people to miss you, they might miss you. But like, if you just keep piping up and saying nonsense, like you deserve 2 gold jackets, if Eli gets in on the ballot, no. 2-time Super Bowl MVP. What have you ever done? Speaking of Super Bowl MVPs, Mr. Doug Williams.
How about that?
There you go. And speaking of a guy who will probably have Super Bowl MVPs, a guy who won't win one, Will Levis.
It's interesting. I thought Levis played one of the better games he's ever played yesterday against the Texans. He's hitting some deep passes. He's making some plays. The guy also takes 1 million sacks, and he throws some of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. Like, he'll throw interceptions that'll make like Mark Sanchez blush. That'll be that's the best way I could describe it. So like, I can't determine whether or not he's actually like good or not. I guess the short answer is he's probably done enough where he's going to earn another year with the Titans, which is probably a good thing if you're one of these other teams that's looking for a quarterback, because if it takes the Titans out of the mix, that's one less team you have to worry about. But I'm not 100% sold on Will Levis being the guy.
By the way, shame on the Houston Texans for losing to Will Levis at home in a game where you sacked him 8 times. That can't happen. That could cost you maybe a tiebreaker down the line. I mean, they're probably going to win the South, but if the Colts start creeping up to you and they push you down into that wild card somehow, that's going to hurt you.
And Levis threw a pick 6 in that game as well.
Yep. And they still, you can't lose that game at home. I'm sorry, not to a lowly Titans team. I got a couple back-to-back tight ends here. We got Noah Fant, and then who else we got here? We got Isaiah Likely. Had a big game early in the season, and then one other random big game, I think, and is kind of, the Ravens tight ends has been a thing this year. Let's see here. Who else? We got Deron Bland from the Dallas Cowboys. Nice road upset of the Commanders. Talk about a wild finish yesterday.
Could you imagine being a Commanders fan and having them in a survivor pool and losing that game in the manner that you did? Because, the Cowboys were basically up the entire second half. And then the Commanders hit that miracle play from Jayden Daniels to Terry McLaurin, 86 yards or whatever it was. They're down a point. They miss the extra point. And then and then on the ensuing onside kickoff, they give up a touchdown. I mean, can you just imagine losing in any sort of survivor pool where, or perhaps you bet the Commanders on the money line or something, and you just lose in that manner? I mean, that's got to be one of the all-time gut punches.
And you thought you were going to, first of all, you thought you were out anyway, even at 13-9 with 6.5 to go. The Cowboys felt like they had control of that game. But then okay, I'm out of the pool. Okay, now I'm back. They
give you the false hope that you're back in.
Yeah.
And all they got to do is make the extra point. You go to overtime and, who knows what happens.
Yeah. We got a quarterback, classic quarterback here, Jim Kelly, one of the all-time greats there.
Love the classic Bills look there.
They need to go back to the red helmet. There shouldn't be as many white helmets as there are in the NFL. The Dolphins can have a white helmet. The Colts can have a white helmet. Who else? The Chargers, they're fine. Cardinals are fine. That's it. I have a little helmet display up over my shoulder. That's why I'm looking up to look at the white helmets. Bills need to go back to that red helmet. You will never convince me otherwise. Trey Hendrickson here from the Bengals, whose season is we'll see what happens with them down the stretch. They've certainly put themselves in a hole here. We got Daniel Carlson, I believe is kicking for the Jets now. Let's see here. We got Jonathan Taylor for the Colts. That's not a bad one. Let's see here. We got a few more to go here before we get to Jared's football packs. One of the all-time great cornerbacks, Ty Law. The picture there with the Patriots. Shout out Coop. Shout out Impemba. We got a guy who still had a pretty big game on Sunday Night Football despite the Rams getting trounced by the Eagles. Puka Nacua.
Yeah, it's good to see him healthy and see him doing Puka Nacua things.
He is just, he's literally you need two guys to bring him down. You don't have a chance of bringing him down. You're not going to, wrap and drive is not going to work with him.
Nope.
Let's see. We got now we're getting to the rookie portions of the pack here. Let's see what we got. We've got an Adonai Mitchell card here. Picture with the Texas Longhorns. Colts, an interesting team down the stretch. Ravens, we mentioned, are on Monday Night Football tonight in the Hard Bowl. There's TJ Tampa. He's got to play for the Buccaneers at some point in his career, because how could you not have a guy with Tampa as his last name on the Bucs? Make it happen. The Devils never made it happen with Miroslav Satan. Buccaneers, you make it happen with Tampa.
And they passed on drafting his son too, as well, this past year. So,
two strikes. It's two. Devils.
Yeah, they got to trade for him at some point.
Absolutely. Let's see. We got Javon Bullard rookie card having a solid season with the Packers there in the secondary. We got Talias Fuaga rookie card there. I don't know if I said the name right. Saints.
Probably not.
Malik Washington with the Dolphins. Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's got one of the better names in the NFL. Picture with the Saints. Let's close strong here. So we've got, you saw the potential series there. We got a Marvin Harrison Jr. potential there. It's a nice looking one.
Yeah, I'd say he's got a lot of potential. I'm surprised that nobody sued Fanatics or anything, that they used him in this card.
All right, no kidding, right? I don't know how that's going to work out, but nonetheless, I got a nice little Marvin Harrison Jr. rookie there. We got a Travis Kelce celebration there. Kind of looks like the same face he made when he was yelling at Andy Reid on the sideline in the Super Bowl.
It might have been from that game. It looks like he's got the Super Bowl patch on the jersey. It might be the same game.
That was his game face that day. And then we closed the pack strong here. We wanted a good rookie here. It's got that throwback score look. Here it is, Mr. Jayden Daniels rookie card there.
Nice.
We'll take that. And I know the Commanders lost yesterday in crushing fashion, and I know Jayden Daniels has been dealing with a rib injury. So before we say the league's catching up to the rookie, he's clearly been battling something through his rib injury. And listen, if you're a quarterback, if you've ever hurt your rib or any muscle near there, you don't realize like a slight movement to your left can like cause a lot of pain that you wouldn't normally feel pain from. So he's playing through something, and it's clear because he's not as strong as he was out of the gate. But I'm not to say they need to rest him, but he's got to get better if Washington wants to make the NFC is very tough. So like they don't have much room to play with here.
And the offensive Rookie of the Year odds have shrunk as a result the last few weeks as well, with Bo Nix closing in on him. So we shall see if that winds up costing him the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and listen, Bo Nix is more of a manager, but he's getting the Broncos victories. The Broncos are winning on defense and making it easy for Nix. But nonetheless, Broncos are a good team here coming down the stretch here with the last few weeks to go in a tight AFC wildcard race. I'm going to bring the East Coast cam up now as Jared opens up some 2022 Panini Mosaic football hobby packs.
Oh, yeah, we'll get right into this. And we are going to start. And, of course, these are gorgeous-looking cards. Unfortunately, we start with Carson Wentz, the one-time Washington Commanders quarterback. Now he's the backup in Kansas City.
Good old Carson Wentz.
Yep. A player who I don't want to say is emblematic of the Jets' dysfunction, but it was certainly a part of it for the brief time he was there with Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I mean, now in Cleveland, he's got a little bit more of a role. I mean, Jameis Winston has turned that team around, but at least a little bit, at least for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, when you see how dysfunctional it is, like when the guy gets out of there, it's like, okay, maybe you weren't the issue, although he didn't do himself any favors.
Yep. Your all-time favorite player in Barry Sanders.
Yeah, that's a good-looking card right there.
Let's see if there's any fun quotes of him, of how he's a good boy on the back of the card. No, it doesn't appear so. Just career stats of how he's a monster as a player.
Harry always scrapes his plate into the garbage can and puts it in the sink.
Oh my goodness. What a line of cards that was. Here's one of your least favorite players, but one of the all-time greats in Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know.
Rookie card here, Daniel Bellinger with the Giants.
It's like he's making a nice catch and turn there.
Yep. And last but not least, Christian McCaffrey insert card here. The Panthers. It feels like a lifetime ago he was on the Panthers.
It does feel like a lifetime ago he was on the Panthers. Now, the Panthers have looked a little bit better the last few weeks. Not winning a ton, but still a lot more competitive, playing in some close games. I want to talk about the NFC West for a second, because the Seahawks are at the top, but they've got like they got like a game lead over the bottom at the 49ers. I don't think the Rams are in the mix, but you were on the 49ers a couple of weeks ago. If you had a gun to your head and said, give me an NFC West winner right now, who are you picking?
Probably Seattle.
Very good defense.
Just because they're the only team that's consistently winning games right now.
Arizona is a little, consistency is the word there. The Rams are inconsistent. The Cardinals are inconsistent. I know the 49ers, they didn't have Purdy yesterday and they didn't have Bosa. So, yeah, you're going to probably lose against a good team like Green Bay when you're out without your quarterback and probably your best defensive player. The question with the 49ers is they going to get healthy enough in time before the division slips away? Because like the way the NFC North is going with the Vikings and the Packers, have 2 and 3 losses respectively. The wild card is you're going to have basically one wild card left amongst everybody else that's competing for it. So they need to get moving soon.
Yeah, not one of my good calls a couple weeks ago saying, look out for the Niners. They haven't won a game since. But sometimes you swing and miss.
But it's health. It's not like, they just have stunk. They've been with, without Purdy yesterday and Bosa. And, yeah, they lost a tough one to the Seahawks the week before that.
You can go ahead and delete that short at some point. Allen Robinson with the LA Rams. I'm just going to do one more pack of these, and then I'm going to move on to the Flair ones. We'll save the rest of the mosaics for another day.
Sweet.
James Conner with the Arizona Cardinals, who are certainly looking to be in the mix there. And, of course, wonderful. My camera's doing that thing again where it auto zooms for whatever reason. NFL debut rookie card for Trayvon Walker, probably one of the more nondescript number 1 overall picks in league history.
Yeah, like he's a guy that could go on and have a great career for the position he plays and all that, but like that's not the sizzle and sex appeal you're looking for, like a first overall pick.
Yep. Rondale Moore with the Arizona Cardinals. No, now he's with the I think he's with the Falcons now.
Yeah, he's on the IR with the Falcons.
Yeah, kind of on his way to being out of the league anyways. Stephon Diggs Bang card from Bills at Dolphins on looks like Halloween Day on 2021. That must have been a Monday night game or something. I don't remember.
If the Bills want to wear the white helmets, you wear the throwback helmets and that with the old red buffalo on there. Like that's when you can use the white helmets as a throwback. Just go back to the old school Jim Kelly, Andre Reed red. Please, I'm begging you.
And last but not least, a Hall of Fame, not a Hall of Fame, a Hall of Fame card here with Peyton Manning. It doesn't really have a hologram effect though, but still a pretty sharp looking card there.
Yeah, it's more like Reflecto Fame.
Exactly. But I mean, we love the Panini cards. We love the presentation of them. They always look good. I'm sitting here talking. Clearly, I have a scratchy throat. I should probably stop talking.
Yeah, you probably should take a lozenge. There you go. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, the Panini packs, you pay a little bit more for that, but you certainly get the quality with the card. And yeah, you're a big Panini guy, that's for sure. Now we're going to go to Fleer football here. We're going 1990 Fleer. Love to do a throwback pack when we do this. Classic wax, junk air, all that good stuff. Maybe we get a Jim Harbaugh or a Rich Gannon rookie. We'll see what teams come out to talk about here.
Well, I don't have any Jim Harbaugh or Rich Gannon for you off the bat, but I do have Jim Everett. So there is that.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm not going to make the Jim Rome joke because I feel like we make that every time Jim Everett comes up in this pack. Lionel Manuel, receiver for the Giants. Classic Giants look, which we love to see.
Yeah. Lionel Manuel, good player for them in the 80s.
Lewis Lips, Steelers receiver.
Now, the Steelers jerseys just haven't changed in years and years and years, and there's a reason. It's just a classic look.
Yep. I mean, another classic looks the Bills look with the red helmet, and like we were saying, Andre Reed.
Great receiver. Also former Sirius XM NFL radio colleague.
Yep. Let's see. Eric Metcalf.
One of the best return men of all time.
Yep. Leonard Griffin, defensive lineman with the Chiefs.
That's back when the shoulder pads were massive.
Yeah, massive shoulder pads, nice neck roll there. Joe Montana.
Listen, I know it's a Joe Montana base card, but that's still a nice looking Montana card.
Yep. And I certainly love that this pack's been a little bit of heavy hitter, so we like that. Mike Rozier, running back with the Oilers. Charles Mann, defensive lineman for the Redskins.
And getting a nice zoom there on Mr. Mann. He looks ready to go out to the club after. He's eyeing the crowd. He's ready to go.
I don't know why my camera keeps doing this. You could pull it down, and I'll just do the rest of them on the.
Alrighty. There you go.
Lewis Billups here with the Cincinnati Bengals. Orson Mobley, tight end with the Broncos. Another classic look there.
The Broncos have started to adapt that look a little bit more, and I like that.
Let's see. Arthur Cox, tight end with the Chargers.
Yeah.
This pack didn't finish strong, but it kind of is what it is. Harvey Armstrong, defensive lineman with the Colts.
It's a good action shot there. The other guy with massive shoulder pads.
I guess you could call this a rookie card in 1990 draft choice. Your guy, Blair Thomas with the Jets.
Yeah, Blair Thomas.
And last but not least, John Stevens, running back with the Patriots.
Talk about classic jersey looks there. I mean, there you go. Good old Patriot Pat. So there we go. It started strong and then kind of faded, but you had the Montana on there. You had Jim Everett. You had a couple of good cards there nonetheless. I guess it's time to get to our pulls of the day here. And I know what I've got. I've got a few options here. I'm going to bring mine up on the screen. I got the Jayden Daniels rookie. I've got the Marvin Harrison Jr. rookie potential. And I don't know why I put the Puka Nacua card there, but nonetheless, the Chris Godwin numbered. So one of those three would be my pull of the day, I would say. Yeah, the McCaffrey. Yeah, that's got to be it for you. Mute. Can't hear you.
Oh, I keep muting my mic because I keep coughing. So kind of is what it is. So, I would go with, I like the McCaffrey for me, but I'm going to go with one of yours this week. I'm going to go with Jayden Daniels. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to not go with that. I mean, the numbered Godwin's pretty good, but yeah, the Jayden Daniels rookie like that, that's going to be going in a top loader very shortly here after we wrap things up on this edition of Rip and Riff. So there we go. There, show me your best pull. Now it's time to get to the starting lineup figure 5.
And it's been nothing but football today. So why wouldn't we just keep it with football? And yeah, without further ado, let's get the music bed going here. Five questions to figure out who's in the box and maybe get them free.
Is our player a Super Bowl champion?
Not a Super Bowl champion, no.
It's not. Ooh. Is our player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
He sure is.
He sure is. Is our player a quarterback?
No.
He's not a quarterback. Okay.
3 questions down, 2 to go.
Not a quarterback, not a champion, but he is a sure, no doubt about it, Hall of Famer.
You bet.
Is this player a running back?
Yes. So you got one more question to narrow it down before the guess, but you've done some work here.
Okay. No, I don't want to ask that. I don't want to ask that. Did this player ever appear in a Super Bowl?
He never appeared in a Super Bowl, no.
Okay.
All right, so there we go. So he's not a Super Bowl champion, never appeared in a Super Bowl. He is in the Hall of Fame, and he is a running back. He played with one team his whole career.
All right. Well, it's good you gave me that information because the guess I was about to give you was going to be a different direction. Played with one team his whole career.
I do want to know who that guess was going to be.
I was going to guess Curtis Martin.
Interesting.
Because I know he's one of your favorite players of all time.
I do have both of his. I have all 3 of his starting lineups. His 2 Jets and his Pitt Panthers one. They're on display.
Boy, I'm struggling to think of running backs. Is it? I don't think he was on the Super Bowl team, and I don't think he played for anyone else. Is it Edgerrin James?
Ooh. That's a good guess. I like the way you're thinking, but unfortunately, that is not who I have here today. Did Edgerrin James play with one team his whole career? Did he? I feel like he went somewhere else after the Colts briefly. Like he had like a cup of coffee somewhere. Yeah, he played with Arizona for a couple of seasons, and then Seattle for like for a half a season.
Oh, okay, I did no recollection of any of that.
The guy we were looking for today. You were on the right path when you were like one of my favorite players of all time, Mr. Barry Sanders.
Yeah, probably should have gotten that, especially with Thanksgiving, because he was such a huge part of Thanksgiving football with the Lions being on every year.
1993, Barry Sanders. And listen, I know it's the chic, cool thing to like be on board with the Lions and support. The Lions have been my other team since I was a kid because of Barry Sanders. So, yeah, I mean, they're like you said, just a huge part of Thanksgiving. Don't forget, there was no NFL package when you were a kid, so you got your local games, whatever. So when you got those Thanksgiving games in the middle of the week, that was cool. And Barry Sanders, for as long as I can remember, 12:30 kickoff on Sunday. I didn't want to leave for grandma's until the Lions game was over. That was for sure.
Man.
What do we think? So we know the Giants-Cowboys game is maybe the Bears give the Lions a good game. Because of how cold it's going to be in Lambeau, I can't see the Dolphins playing that well against Green Bay, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, the Thanksgiving games, the Giants will be the worst game of the 3.
Sure,
I've zero doubt of that. Cooper Rush against Tommy DeVito, and that prime Thanksgiving slot of 4 p.m. like right as dinner is being served. That's enough to give anyone an indigestion. So I totally get why people are not going to be into that. I would recommend, if you're the type of person that likes to sneak in a nap on Thanksgiving, try to find a window during that Giants game and save your energy for, the late game, which it should at least be a little bit more entertaining.
And there's always the possibility of maybe you get a little snow globe effect like they had in Cleveland on Thursday night last week. So, looking forward to the Thanksgiving slate. We got to do the starting lineup studio audience. And the theme today, Arnold Palmer got out of the box in the Oppensode episode last week. So we decided to just go with indisputable GOATs, guys that have to be in that conversation for their respective sports. There was Michael Jordan, 1992, Arnold Palmer from 95. Diego Maradona said, I want to come back a second week once he found out Arnold Palmer was going to be in the mix. And, of course, Wayne Gretzky, some of the all-time greats in their sports. Barry Sanders could have joined them, but unfortunately he will stay in the box. And we'll come back next week in December with another Figure 5. Don't know what sport it's going to be yet, but Jared will get a chance to get back in the win column next week.
Who knows? It might be Barry Sanders next week. Well, I have no idea.
I mean, I still have he had a lot. I don't know if he had the most starting lineup figures, but he definitely had a lot. I think besides the one that was in the box, I think I maybe have like another couple that I got to hunt down. But those are some of the rarer, more expensive ones, and you can't always spend the money you want to spend on things like that. But there you go. Now, what do you got coming out on allaboutthejersey.com this week for your New Jersey Devils coverage?
Well, the team's playing well right now, so this week I'm going to write about whether or not they're a little too reliant on the power play, which is sort of been what's been carrying them the last few weeks. The fact that they've just been red hot on the power play. I think they're fourth in this. I think that right now they're second in the league in terms of converting on the power play, and it's not that converting on the power play is necessarily a bad thing or that it's not important, but I think you see with teams that are reliant on it that just because you're reliant on it in during the regular season and the early portion of playoffs, you're not necessarily going to get those calls in the playoff games, especially in the third period and overtime when refs tend to swallow their whistles. And so voicing a little bit of a concern there.
Things certainly going better on your side of the river for your hockey team than mine right now. That's for sure. We've done enough Jets talk today. I don't want to talk about the Rangers either at this point, but not looking great right now.
I mean, they lose 2 games, and now they're talking about trading Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba, who nobody wants anyways. So, I mean, we'll see.
Trading Kreider's absurd. You're not at that point yet. And yes, if you'd love to trade Jacob Trouba, if you can find one of those 15 or 16 teams that aren't on his list that'll take him. Yeah, we'd love to do that. Also, YouTube at Jared Moore Poker. And speaking of all that hockey stuff, Total Hockey Now. Which you can check out as what I do with at Rivera 86 and at Fuzzy Chris 91. We're taking the week off for Thanksgiving this week, but we will be back next week. So be sure to check that out, some past episodes. But that'll do it for this edition of Rip N Riff. We'll be back with an all new episode next Monday to kick off December. But for at Mr. Jared Moore, I'm at Talking Thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We ripped some good cards today. Love that Jayden Daniels rookie. We got some stuff off our chest in the New York football funeral. Who knows what we're going to talk about next week? You'll have to find out. Thanks as always, though. At Rip N Riff, all social media platforms. Later, folks.